Yes.
Call to order the regular meeting of the Governing Board. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call. All board members are present. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion to adopt the agenda.
You have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Awards and achievements. Monica.
Good evening, President Gregoire, members of the Governing Board, Superintendent Weitenheimer, and special guests. Last spring, DVUSD students took the AZ Merit Assessment and did quite well. Results for Deer Valley students included 471 assessments with the highest possible scale score. In addition, Deer Valley has 31 students who scored the highest possible scale score on both the English language arts and math assessments. Tonight, we recognize 8 of these students. Unfortunately, some of them were not able to be here, but we will announce their names for recognition. Congratulations to the following students who received the highest possible scale score on both the ELA and Math AZ Merit Assessments. From Diamond Canyon, Ryan Conroy. From Las Brisas Elementary, Tyler Olson. From Las Brisas, Tanner Vallis. From Legend Springs Elementary, Kendall Christensen. From Legend Springs Elementary, Brennan Lyons. From Legend Springs Elementary, Caden Nichols. From Park Meadows Elementary, Dominique Luna. And from Sonoran Foothills, Brody Beckman. Congratulations, students. Congratulations. For more than 40 years, the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting has honored school districts for excellence and best practices. Dale Splitberger, Director of Finance, and his team received the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting Award for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2015. This award, which was presented by the Arizona Association of School Business Officials, represents a significant achievement and reflects their commitment to the highest standards of school system financial reporting. Congratulations on receiving the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting. Accepting the recognition tonight is Deputy Superintendent for Fiscal and Business Services, Jim Migliorino. We only need one, so do you want to wait? we'll wait to do the picture after, Jim. Stay right there. The Arizona Masonry Guild was established in 1958. Masonry products, which include block, brick, and stone, are known for their strength and natural ability to blend with the surrounding environment. This year's annual Excellence in Masonry Architectural Awards banquet honored the finest projects throughout the state of Arizona. 13 projects were recognized for their outstanding masonry design, workmanship, and creativity with the use of brick, block, or stone, including DVUSD's newest building, Sonoran Foothills School, which received a Merit Award for a non-residential building for excellent masonry and architectural design. Accepting tonight's recognition is Deputy Superintendent for Fiscal and Business Services, Jim Migliorino.
Okay, let's move on. Governing board reports. We'll start with Mrs. Ordway.
Saturday, we celebrated Love Our Schools Day, although we do love our schools every day. So Saturday was just a special day to let everybody in to see how nice it is to work together. I spent time at Terramar, and I will tell you, I have not ever seen staircases so pretty. No gum, no nothing. It was just wonderful. And the people that were helping were just overjoyed and wanted to know when they could come back. Is it only a once-a-year event? I know that there were many of our schools that had churches, companies, corporations, families of families, people that just said, hey, I want to come and help. So what an awesome, awesome day. Friday was a celebration of Canyon Springs being 10 years old. So within their 10 years, what did they do? They became a STEM academy that is recognized throughout the state. Got to go through the classrooms and the learning that's going on. The jobs that the teachers are doing is incredible. The students just are so empowered. A couple of homecoming games, homecoming parades, awesome. And the fall festivals that have happened or are happening, thank you very much to the PTA, PTOs, and whomever it is that's taking the time to open your campuses, not only to make money for things that you want to add to your school that we don't or are not able to provide, but also the opportunity to showcase what our students and our employees do. Thank you very much.
Okay. Mrs. O'Brien.
Just want to thank everybody who did participate in the Love Our Schools event on Saturday. I got to see a lot of pictures of great things happening on Twitter and Facebook. So thank you so much to the community for coming out and helping our schools. And thank you to Dr. Weitenheimer for the different events he's had this last couple of weeks, the Business Expo and Live with Dr. V. Thank you, Monica, as well, and her team. The Business Expo was excellent. So we have, once again, another example of, the entire community coming together to make sure our schools are doing what they need to do for our students.
Mrs. Fisher.
Well, I guess I could kind of say ditto, because most of those are same on my list. I just hope everyone had a really good break. I hope you guys got the opportunity to rest. I know how hard everyone works for our students and for all of us, for the community. Of course, I want to thank the community members for all the work they did this past weekend. But I also want to do a special thank you to the parent groups that have taken on the task of informing the community about the elections of the governing board. I do appreciate the efforts they've made to get the information out so that our public can make a very good decision, I hope. And that's about it.
Great. Mr. Bear.
Thank you, President Gregoire. Tonight, I'm going to make kind of a special announcement here. My old friend, Mr. Gregoire here, is now a grandfather for the first time. So I think that's some special recognition right there. So congratulations, Mike.
When you said that, I was thinking all kinds of things, not that.
Cute. You forgot Eddie's cute. That baby.
Yeah, anyway, it was Sunday night, so we're proud. Anyway, I have no report, so I'll pass it on to Dr. Weitenheimer. They're all healthy and happy. So.
Thank you, Mr. Gregoire. Yes, absolutely. Congratulations to you, but kind of in that same line, a birthday greetings to a board member who had a birthday this week, Kim Fisher. So happy birthday, Ms. Fisher. I appreciate a couple of the board members mentioning Love Our Schools this past Saturday. The next meeting, we're going to thank some people publicly and give you an opportunity to meet some of the people that made it happen, along with terrific Monica and her team. So we appreciate that. And board members, you'll find at your place a draft of that board procedures book that we talked about at the last board meeting. It is a draft, but at the end of that dialogue this last time, what the agreement was is that we would pass along the draft to all of you, and then a work team maybe or something could be formed to try to move it along so that it finishes up or at least provides a little bit of help to any potential incoming board member. And that concludes the superintendent's report. Thank you, Mr. Gregoire.
Thank you. Administrative leadership, Dr. Corson.
President Gregoire, members of the board, Dr. Weitenheimer. Tonight, Jean Copen, Manager of Administrative Leadership and Services, and Julie Frank, Coordinator for School Safety and School Operations, will provide a report regarding Deer Valley's comprehensive safety plan for the 2016-17 school year.
Good evening, President Gregoire, members of the board, and Dr. Weitenheimer. Tonight, Julie and I would like to share the DVUSD comprehensive safety plan. We will review components of each layer of the plan, share a timeline of this year's safety events that have been designed to support our schools, and highlight new data gathering features in Power Schools and Google Docs that have been designed to increase the accuracy of gathering safety data and improve the quality of our documentation. Last year, this became the visual for the framework for the DVUSD Comprehensive Safety Plan. Through our work with ADE, Homeland Security, and the Central Arizona School Emergency Preparedness Response Consortium, we have learned that school safety requires a comprehensive approach. This includes levels of prevention, intervention, and response. The largest level you see in this diagram is prevention. This is where we would hope the majority of our efforts and attention would go. Prevention includes creating positive school cultures that reduce the likelihood that discipline infractions or safety concerns will happen. The next tier is intervention. The purpose of this tier is to intervene early when something happens to reduce the chance that it will happen again and provide a protective plan for the impacted students and our schools. The smallest layer is response. When situations arise, we depend on the practice and preparation in our prevention layer to prepare us to properly respond to emergencies. Prevention is the action of stopping something from happening or arising. Positive behavior intervention systems and supports is our district framework for creating positive, safe, caring, and respectful learning environments. Positive behavior intervention and supports is a proactive approach to establishing the behavioral supports and social and cultural that is needed for all students in school to achieve social, emotional, and academic success. Attention is focused on creating and sustaining primary school-wide supports, secondary classroom supports, and tertiary individual systems of supports. PBIS emphasizes the creation of systems that support the adoption of evidence-based practices and procedures and requires the school collect data to provide evidence of success or need for refinement. A couple of data sources that schools use for this purpose are the Gallup poll, benchmark of quality data, and student discipline trends. The PBIS structure requires 5 critical systems to be put in place at a campus. There is an expectation system that defines positive behavior outcomes, a campus-wide reinforcement system that recognizes students for positive behavior, a data analysis system that enables a school to gather and target data to drive action, a teaching system that allows that teaches and reteaches students and staff the PBIS systems, and finally an accountability system that responds to behavior that requires intervention. Our schools have programs in place such as EQ, Top 20, the Second Step. To meet the criteria, all programs have the 5 critical PBIS systems. PBIS resides under the umbrella of the multi-tiered system support framework that promotes a tiered approach of intervening with misbehavior. Also in the prevention layer are training expectations. Oops, sorry, a little too soon there. Also in the prevention layer are training expectations for our school incident command teams. This year, all school incident command members are completing FEMA training. FEMA is the Federal Emergency Management Agency. FEMA is an organization that guides first responders on how to mitigate hazards. To create seamless communication and internal procedures with our first responders, FEMA training gives our school incident teams the command, vocabulary, and procedures that will align us with first responders. In emergencies, seconds matter, and FEMA training furthers our efforts to respond to emergencies more quickly and efficiently. Another piece of intervention is securing our facilities to ensure the safety of school students and staff. Last year, DVUSD partnered with the Department of Homeland Security to complete campus infrastructure surveys and safety walkthroughs. As part of this process, Homeland Security provided detailed recommendations for safety improvements. One of the recommendations was to harden the front office. This creates a separation. One of the recommendations was the hardening of it. The first step has been to install the buzz doors that you see on the screen there. This creates a separation between the public lobby and the secure campus. This first phase of improving the security on our campus is complete. In addition to the buzz doors, we are installing security cameras at all schools. And in the summer of 2017, additional security items will be added to front offices. We are also in the process of creating a quarterly infrastructure walkthrough tool in which our school plant foremans and administration will collect data about their campus facilities to create action plans for improving their campus security. An example might be improving perimeter security.
The next layer in the comprehensive safety plan is intervention. Intervention is action taken to improve a situation. The intervention level enables us to respond to safety concerns and create plans that will keep the concern at a low level. This level also affords us an opportunity to bring collaborative groups together to solve problems and attach additional resources to students in need of additional help. DVUSD threat assessment procedures assist campus teams in investigating threats students make at the school, others, and themselves. School administrators, school psychologists, and school teams use a 4-part process that helps us distinguish between transient and substantive threats. By identifying, assessing, and managing threats, our campuses can direct help and resources to keep our campuses safe. A feature that was added into the process this year is the Victim Safety Plan. This plan helps navigate focus and resources to identified victims of a threat. Another strategy in the intervention level is after-action reports. These reports guide campuses to debrief emergency practice drills or real emergency events. Campus teams identify strengths and vulnerabilities they observe about the effectiveness of our emergency procedures. This information helps us retrain and identify areas of our campuses that may need attention. Each practice drill provides us an opportunity to intervene. Under the MTSS structure, students who show the need for higher levels of intervention, either academically or behaviorally, receive Tier 2 and 3 interventions. Campus MTSS teams work collaboratively collaboratively to identify students who show need for supplemental or intensive interventions. Again, this structure allows us an opportunity to intervene with behaviors at low levels before they become harmful to the school, others, or themselves. Lastly, in order for us to effectively intervene and track behaviors, we have created systems to document discipline infractions, seclusion and restraint, and threat assessments. The last layer of the DVUSD Comprehensive Safety Plan is response. Response is a reaction to something. DVUSD has partnered with the Arizona Department of Education to align our emergency response plan procedures with first responder procedures and safety best practices. Schools have completed their emergency plans, and these have all been reviewed by the ALS department. To highlight some of the new additions, schools are developing individualized plans to assist students who may have difficulties during emergencies due to physical or cognitive limitations. Also, under the guidance of ADE, the decision was made to change K-6 and K-8 school evacuation sites to our own high schools. This change provides additional security by housing our students on DV campuses, and we benefit from additional help from high school staff. High schools will continue to use CCV as their evacuation site. Lastly, the topic of psychological first aid has been introduced into the plan. Psychological first aid aims to reduce stress symptoms and assist in a healthy recovery following a traumatic event, natural disaster, public health emergency, or even a personal crisis. Our district continues to work with outside agencies. We deeply value the work we do with our 4 police departments. This partnership brings an additional layer of security for our schools. Currently, all of our middle school and high schools have off-duty officers every day. Vista Peak also has a part-time officer, and Paseo Hills has a school resource officer grant that funds a full-time campus officer. Lastly, student discipline falls into the response layer. When this occurs, school administration works with the student and family to assign appropriate consequences for the behavior. Discipline also provides us an opportunity to re-enter the situation at the intervention level and create tools for the student to avoid future discipline, restore justice, repair relationships, and ultimately change behavior.
To support our schools with safety professional development, the ALS department has planned a year-long timeline of safety events. These events support various staff groups with sustaining PBIS programs, accurately recording data, suicide prevention, bully prevention, threat management training, and best practices for emergency response. Our safety events include partnerships with various agencies, including ADE Safety Department, who will be providing tabletop exercises for our administrators twice this year. Gina Durbin, who is the Director of Education and Community Services in Cave Creek School District, will be providing suicide prevention training for our psychologists. And Tolleson School District hosted a PBIS tour for all of our Deer Valley High Schools. An event we're very excited about is the DVUSD Safety Conference on October 18th. The board has received invitations, and we hope that you're all able to attend. In addition to presentations on prevention, intervention, and best practices with response procedure, the highlight of this conference is our keynote speaker, Frank DeAngelis, who is the former principal of Columbine High School. Again, we hope you all can join us, and thank you for listening to our safety presentation.
Questions, comments? Anyone?
I just wanted to say it's pretty clear the last couple of pages didn't make it into the packet that you have, so we'll be sure and get that updated. I was going to say that the color copier ran out of color, but I don't know how that might have happened. So.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Oh, sorry. Mrs. Fisher has a question.
It's actually not, well, it's kind of a question. The one thing when I look at all this, I mean, I jotted down a series of questions which I can send her. This probably isn't the best venue for it right now. But the one thing that I see is personal safety, or person safety versus personal and internal emotional safety seems to be becoming blended. And it really, when you try and do multiple things at one time, oftentimes one thing gets missed. I would really like to review this topic closer if we could have a study session or something, Mike, as a request, and really dedicate to not just, I mean, because I know we're having the safety forum, and that is wonderful. I'm very excited to attend. I've already took the day off work to attend. And it does address the safety. There's been wonderful things. I think we've all seen some wonderful safety tools that have been brought in. But when I look more towards even the MTSS and things like that, I do, and we occasionally throw out the word restorative justice, but I don't see the breadth or the spirit of a true restorative justice culture being created. And I would really, really like to have a study session where we maybe take a closer and stronger look at restorative justice. And you know, part of restorative justice isn't just the action of us disciplining in a way that allows for restorative. It also includes the component of building those relationships. And that goes further back to that intervention stage where you're building that relationship with students. And I really hope we can explore that, maybe separate the two so we're not losing either, and get a closer look at what we're doing in both areas.
Okay, did you get all that? I took notes too, so anyway, thank you so much. Let's move on. Curriculum instruction and assessment. Dr. Callaghan.
Good evening, President Gregoire, governing board members, Dr. Weitenheimer. Tonight we actually have two reports for you with a focus on technology. The first one provides an update and overview of our Tech Rich initiative, and the other one is a board request about our online program. In the first report, Kathy Borgeson, Manager of Academics and Assessment, Jeff Anderson, Chief Information Officer, and I will provide you with an update on our Tech Rich initiative. In addition, we have some of our tech-rich leaders in the audience tonight. In 2013, we began the planning process to phase in a one-to-one digital device deployment in our high schools. This fall, we reached the final phase of deployment in which all of our 5 high schools have distributed iPads to their entire student bodies.
President Gregoire, governing board members, Dr. Weitenheimer, and guests, the purpose of the tech-rich implementation is twofold: to prepare students as citizens of the 21st century and to provide students with enhanced learner-centered instruction. The pedagogical framework we have employed to help guide teachers in the use of technology to enhance instruction is the SAMR model. SAMR stands for substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. The higher levels of the model, modification and redefinition, are the levels whereby learning is transformed into opportunities previously not easily attained or inconceivable without the use of technology.
The deployment process followed on each campus was to create a tech-rich team utilizing teachers and staff who are most interested and eager to develop the processes and professional development for their fellow educators. The next step was to issue iPads to the teachers to allow them time to experiment and learn about the devices with professional development provided. The teachers most interested in being the first to implement instruction with the devices had iPads distributed to their students a semester or 2 before full distribution. This allowed the campus the opportunity to address distribution and collection processes, management issues, and staff and student support mechanisms before implementation with the entire student body. The phased-in deployment process took 4 years to complete. This phased-in approach was beneficial for 2 reasons. It provided time to develop and refine processes, and it was necessary for funding purposes. The funds for the devices was made possible by a bond in which funds were released over a period of several years. This fall, all 5 high schools have reached the full implementation phase, and as of today, 11,206 iPad devices have been distributed to DVUSD high school students.
Some of the supports that have been developed within the district to support the Tech-Rich initiative include the utilization of a device management system called AirWatch, which allows district and campus personnel to track device distribution, usage, and control access. A content filtering system which follows the devices even off of the district network has been employed. This year, a Deer Valley Unified School District app catalog has been instituted so that campuses can control which apps are available to the students. Only apps deemed educationally appropriate and requested by teachers are loaded into the school's app catalog for students to download. A new learning management system was put into place during the past school year. The system, called Canvas, allows teachers to post content, collect student work, conduct discussions, administer tests and quizzes, and grade student work, all in an interactive digital format. The optional device protection plan was implemented during the spring of 2015. For $25, parents can purchase the plan, which limits their liability to $50 if a device is damaged and $100 if a device is lost or stolen. As of September 2016, over 7,300 optional device protection plans have been purchased for this school year, which covers 65% of the devices in deployment. A tech-rich leadership team consisting of an administrator and 1 to 2 teacher leaders from each high school campus, as well as curriculum instruction and assessment and IS&T staff and Apple support personnel, meet quarterly to share practices, concerns, updates, and collaborate on refinement to the tech-rich processes. Professional development and technology integration for administrators and teachers continues to be a focus for our high school educators. This past spring, Deer Valley Unified School District was one of 8 districts in the country invited to send leaders to a special conference to collaborate with experts and other educational leaders on creating next steps for technology integration. One of the experts at the conference was Dr. Ruben Penchadura, creator of the SAMR model. The conference provided inspiration for a DVUSD developed conference for our high school administrators this past summer, in which the leaders were able to learn about technology applications and develop plans for their campus professional development and support. Additionally, each high school sent teacher leaders to the ISD, which stands for the International Society for Technology Education annual conference this summer. The conference is the largest educational technology conference in the country. The teachers were energized and came back with targeted ideas to share with their fellow teachers. Each campus has also identified several teachers to take part in monthly trainings with a specialist from Apple to hone their own skills and work on ways to support and coach other teachers. Since Canvas has become such an integral component of TechRich, teams of teachers have been brought together to serve as campus trainers and coaches on each campus.
Our 5 high school campuses received new technology and networking hardware, beginning with O'Connor for the 2013-2014 school year. Mountain Ridge High School and Boulder Creek were upgraded just prior to their TechRich implementation, and Deer Valley High School and Barry Goldwater were upgraded during their modernization projects. The upgrades included all new switches, wireless controllers, and campus routers. We also have upgraded the connection from all 5 of our high schools to our district data center. Wi-Fi has been upgraded at all 5 campuses. We installed faster multi-band access points in all classrooms, interior meeting spaces, and exterior common areas to support the increase in wireless devices. Our guest wireless network was re-engineered to better support students, staff, and community access using their personal devices in our schools. IS&T support was pretty much all hands on deck for the first year and a half of the implementations. We were tasked with supporting thousands of new devices deployed to students and staff and getting ready thousands more to configure and prep for the next rollout. As of today, we currently have a significant portion of about 3 positions dedicated to the technology management tools needed for TechRich, and our day-to-day help desk ticket volume for TechRich is about 5% of our total tickets. AirWatch is one of the tools we use for mobile device management. AirWatch allows IS&T staff and campus administration to enable, supervise, and control aspects of the student iPads. We can identify which apps are loaded on which iPads. It gives the campuses the flexibility to target specific apps to groups of students based on course selection and class schedules. It allows the staff to see when the last time an iPad was seen on the network, and it can be used to help recover misplaced iPads or disable lost or stolen iPads. Tagging and scanning. Although the iPads fall below the cost threshold for our property control requirements, the IS&T staff has a dedicated sequence of Deer Valley tag numbers, and we currently tag every iPad. This helps each campus to easily identify which iPad is issued to which student. It also facilitates the incorporation of the iPads into our library bookstore inventory programs and our bookstore receipting systems. Repair and replacement was one of the biggest challenges we had with the initial rollout of the program. It became apparent quickly that a sturdy, ruggedized case was needed to minimize breakage. We've since standardized on 2 case designs across all 5 high schools. Each high school has a number of spare iPads to accommodate both a quick exchange of a broken student device or increased student enrollment throughout the year. The campus enters a help desk ticket for any broken devices. IS&T staff picks up the devices and determines if they are repairable and then processes the repair with a local vendor.
The strengths of the Tech-Rich One-to-One initiative include access to digital resources. Most current textbooks include online platforms which can be updated regularly. Teachers and students also have a greater array of resources and apps with interactive features, and many of these are free. With digital resources, teachers have increased opportunities to personalize learning for their students. Real-time data. Teachers are able to gather real-time assessment data using online quizzes, digital polls, discussion boards, and online assessments. This allows teachers the ability to immediately use the assessment data to guide and adjust instruction. Flexibility and mobility. Teachers do not have to wait to assign a project or assignment until they can schedule the computer lab, and students do not have to be tethered to a desktop. Instead, iPads can be taken anywhere and used at any time to expand when and where learning can occur. Development of 21st century learning skills. The iPads and digital tools provide a wider array of ways for students to develop communication skills, collaboration skills, explore creativity, and increase critical thinking. Anytime, anywhere learning. Canvas, our learning management system, is a major component of the positive one-to-one experience many teachers and students have had. Teachers can post assignments, resources, links, quizzes, and discussion boards on Canvas, and students can access these in class or outside of class time. For students without Wi-Fi access outside of school, many apps, textbooks, and resources are able to be accessed offline as well. Transforming learning. The question of cost savings is often brought up when referring to the Tech-Rich One-to-One initiative. Tech-Rich is not really a way to cut costs other than some savings in paper consumption. In fact, it is actually quite comparable to purchasing textbooks. However, with the one-to-one access with iPads, the realm of learning and teaching opportunities is greatly increased. With digital tools, learning can be transformed into experiences not before conceivable.
The Tech-Rich initiative has not been without challenges. Operating in a digital landscape poses risks which we as a district continue to evaluate in order to provide a balance between access and security. Student privacy is always a top priority. Filters, firewalls, secure file transfers, and other security measures are employed. It is critical that all students, especially those in high school, understand their own responsibility in navigating the digital world safely. Digital citizenship lessons are required at all grade levels in our district. We are currently working with our new assessment system provider, School City, to implement a secure browser feature on the iPads to increase security for our assessments. This is a major focus for our high school teachers and interest of theirs. Electronic textbooks, while more up-to-date, easier to access, and interactive, pose technical challenges for our IS&T department, since each vendor uses different methods for user access, file uploads, and authentication.
And although we use device management system and filtering software, we have a contingency of parents who would like greater control at setting restrictions on the iPads. Digital devices are sometimes misused by high school students. Campus administrators must attend to these student misbehaviors, which adds to their already full plate of job responsibilities. Parents may have their student opt out of checking out a district device and instead provide their own digital device for their student. However, a small number of parents have refused to allow their student to use district device and do not provide their own device. Although teachers can still provide the student with alternate assignments, this puts more work on the teacher and does not allow the student the full learning experience that the digital device can provide. As we move forward, we will continue to address the challenges mentioned, as well as refine our processes. For instance, our tech-rich leadership group is currently examining the distribution and collection process, the transfer of devices to and from Vista Peak, volume app purchases, and implementation of the new iOS Apple Classroom environment. We are also exploring the ever-growing collection of open education resources. These free or almost free high-quality resources are changing the way teachers and students access educational resources. Arizona is one of the states that has signed on to the U.S. Department of Education's Go Open campaign, which encourages states, school districts, and educators to use openly licensed educational materials. As part of the campaign, the department is proposing a new regulation that would require all copyrightable intellectual property created with department grant funds to have an open license, allowing students access to high-quality resources and allowing teachers the ability to adapt and customize learning materials to meet student needs.
Replacement of outdated devices. So we are close to looking at O'Connor High School, whose mini iPads, which were the first iPads deployed, are about ready to be replaced. That will occur beginning next school year. Part of that discussion with the TechReach leadership team will be, do we move forward in replacement with iPads, or do we consider a different device, such as Chromebooks? That will be one of the tasks that the TechReach leadership team will be working through this year as we look at the replacement of devices, the mini iPads at O'Connor, and then further into the other schools. Our plan is to move the TechReach environment next into our middle schools, and although that remains our hope, we also know that replacement of devices at high school will be our first priority within the remaining funds in the current bond. As mentioned before, in 2014, our bond successfully passed. A portion of the bond was identified for electronic textbooks in a one-to-one environment. You can see what was allocated and how much has been spent to date getting all 5 high schools to a one-to-one environment. Prior to the bond, approximately $500,000 in capital funds were budgeted and spent for the pre-implementation at O'Connor High School. We are actually right where we need to be halfway through the bond time period for full deployment of devices at our high schools. The remaining funds will be utilized for the replacement structure of our high school devices, with, as I mentioned before, O'Connor High School being the first high school to begin replacement of their devices. In addition, the funds not used for replacement of devices at our high schools will then be utilized to move TechReach into our middle schools. An initiative of this magnitude cannot occur without great leadership across many departments and campuses. Kathy and Jeff and their teams have been the foundation of this initiative from the beginning, and the successful implementation could not have occurred without their knowledge, expertise, and immediate availability to our campuses. Jim and Heather Mock have helped us streamline the device distribution and tracking of devices and ensure that we utilize our bond funds responsibly. Our campus administrators have led second-order change on their campuses as they encourage, entice, and ensure the expectations for pedagogical change through SAMR, the use of Canvas as our learning management system, and technology integration with the devices are part of every course and student learning experience. I would also like to give our greatest thanks and appreciation to our teachers and their students, who have been the recipients of all the planning, preparation, professional development, and integrating a digital environment for instructional learning. Their pioneer spirit, flexibility with change, and ability to overcome fear of the unknown with iPads in the hands of every student is inspiring. We also want to express our appreciation for the high school parents and guardians who have embraced and supported this initiative across each of the schools. Their questions, suggestions, and assistance at home have helped us successfully navigate potential challenges in providing students with a device that is theirs at school and at home throughout the school year. And a final shout out goes to the O'Connor administration and teaching staff for being our initial school with TechReach. They have helped us work out many of the procedures and processes with deployment and collection of devices that is now in place at all 5 high schools. They experience the initial misbehavior and misuse of devices by some enterprising students that have allowed us to determine that fine balance between access and security, and they continue to communicate that their campus strives to provide personalized and student-centered learning where students can access learning at all times 24/7, regardless of where they are, on campus, off campus, on vacation, out ill, or on a school event. They can demonstrate their learning in different ways, many never before available prior to TechRich being an integral part of the classroom environment. Sandra Day O'Connor has been the model of TechRich for our 5 high schools and have always been gracious in giving of their own TechRich learning experiences and next steps. I would like to recognize Brad Brazel, who is AP at O'Connor, and he is really our go-to person when we have major questions, and he is there in the audience. And I would just like to give him and Lynn Miller a huge round of applause. It is not easy to be first, and they have always graciously been, okay, we can do it. We take a team from the Curriculum Instruction and Assessment and IS&T departments to visit each high school once they are in full implementation. If you would like to join us this year for any of the TechRich visits, please let me know and I will get those dates and times to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Mrs. Ordway.
What a great comprehensive report. Just quickly, have we included students in a survey or a focus group to see how it is they feel this is working? Better, worse, suggestions from the actual students that are using these devices?
Each of our campuses have the opportunity to do that. I know when we originally started with our first 2 campuses, part of what we did with both teachers and students was survey them on their perceptions about technology in their campus with their teachers. And that continues to be an area that we ask our teachers and our students for their feedback and beliefs about the technology integration. Kathy can add anything else?
Yes, and actually we have just completed a series of meetings with our community. It's the Technology Vision Committee, which included many students, actually from 6th grade on up. And they were wonderful about providing input and really honest feedback to us about technology on their campuses.
Yeah, because I know that it's all so cool for the adults to go, wow, you've got this, but they really use it like we used to use a notebook. So I was just wondering if we're getting their feedback. And then the second question is, if we do go to replace the mini iPads, what happens to the devices that we're replacing?
We'd like to see them roll down to lower grade levels.
Okay, that's what
they're still fully functional. The only limitation we have is at some point in time, Apple will quit supporting individual models with their newest version of their operating system. And at that point, some apps become inoperable. But to date, they're still fully functional.
Right, so we could utilize that for maybe that middle school rollout. Okay, thank you very much.
First, before I ask questions, because they're not coming from me, they're questions that I've been asked that I can't answer. I've got to tell you, I do love the tech-rich environment. That's what universities are doing now. And we're preparing them for college if it's what they choose to do. But so I do support it before I ask these questions. This was an odd question I received. Is there anything we're doing to ensure that these iPads are not entering bathrooms, locker rooms, or protecting the physical privacy of students? And I had kind of said, well, you know, they have their cell phones also. So, but the point was made is, yeah, but the cell phone's not our liability, and the iPad is. Is there anything that's even been thought of or addressed?
President Gregoire and Ms. Fisher, each high school campus has developed certain processes, and it's different on different campuses. They've worked out what works best. For some, going to the restroom means you don't take your iPad with you. It has to stay in the classroom. Others have installed little holders basically in their campus, in their restrooms. And others are just kind of stepping into full implementation, so they're kind of getting all those processes in place. But that is thought of, and it is definitely a conversation we have with our tech-rich leadership team. That team works through all those kinds of processes and all those things you don't initially think about, like you just thought about, and we have to come up with processes and ways to deal with that.
I think we might need to come up with something consistent for the district. I was surprised when a parent even asked the question, because I just would have never thought of, I just never really even thought of it. The other question I've been asked regarding this type of, and you had said it earlier, we have parents that they don't want to have the kids to have these iPads, and they don't want their kids to have an iPad from them either. They don't want their children so openly and exposed to technology. They're their children. Do we have and I know you said we're doing additional assignments or things, but do we have maybe a on-campus during class checkout option for them? So, you know, they're not going to take it home. They're not going to have one at home for their own, but maybe they can check one out for in-class work. Is that something that we're considering, or is that an option currently?
We don't have that as an option, as a checkout, check-in. Logistics of that are challenging. However, many classrooms have desktop computers or laptop computers that they can use while they're in class. They can, our libraries stay open after school if they need to go after school and use one of the library desktop computers. So there's other access for them.
Okay. And then the final question is from me, just because I thought about it when you were talking. One of the things that has come out recently is there's a lot of new software programs, and specifically for children who have PDD, NOS, or are showing signs of initial autism, or some of the pre-K kids. I would like to at some future date know if we're considering having a technology utilizing those systems to get that language, because there's been great strides, and with the increase in percentage of students that are presenting with these conditions, the younger we can get them talking, the better our outcome will be. So at some point I would like to know if we're considering even maybe recycling those iPads to be, and their speech, their programs where they actually watch the movement of the mouth, and it talks, and it goes more towards their mirror neurons. It sets them off. I did some research on it. It's really impressive, and that's something that perhaps Dr. Galligan and her team could look at. And that's all my questions and comments.
My question is regarding the SAMR model and how we are ensuring that the teachers are moving from that lower level up to the higher level, and what kind of process or evaluation is used to make sure they make those transitions.
Mm-hmm. Currently, each campus provides professional development on the SAMR model, as well as our classroom walkthrough tool has that as indicators. So every classroom walkthrough on the high school campuses includes a technology tab or page, and that's part of the indicators that the administrators look at, and part of the indicators that other teachers that do observations in their fellow teachers' classrooms look at as well. So the technology walkthroughs we have coming up, if any of you are able to join us on any of those, we will be looking at that in each of those classrooms.
We have the Apple survey too.
That's true, and
Yep.
Dr. Galligan just reminded me that we also have an Apple survey. It's a survey provided by Apple, which helps us kind of gauge where our campuses are in the SAMR model and technology integration overall. And we prefer to administer that each year on each campus, so we can kind of gauge that trend.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have questions. Jeff, a long time ago, I don't know if you remember, we had a conversation about our Wi-Fi capacity. And with this, I'm sure that's going to dramatically increase. What kind of costs are we, or is it well within our current capacity?
In the current, President Gregoire, in the current bond issue, we had money set aside to upgrade the campus networks at all campuses K-12. We've completed it at all of the high schools, all of the middle schools, and we're on our last round of K-8s as we move down. At the tech-rich, well, actually at all the schools, but at the tech-rich schools, we specifically focused on more than one-to-one. So even though we have, you know, at a given high school, maybe 2,500 district iPads issued to students, on a day-to-day basis, we're supporting somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 wireless devices. The kids are hooking their phones up to guests. Staff are hooking up their personal devices. So we tried to re-engineer both sides.
I know, but our main supplier is still Cox. Cox is our, I mean, bandwidth-wise is what I'm talking about. Have our costs increased?
I don't have the exact figures, but it basically has been the same or fairly steady for the past 5 years. The cost for bandwidth has come down year over year.
Yeah.
So when we originally started TechRich, we had 300 megabyte connections from our high schools to our data center, and we're now running gigabit. And it's roughly the same cost. I can get the exact figures for you. See if Mr. Migliorino could put it in a Friday update.
Okay. The Canvas,
sorry,
the Canvas software we use, is that the same that we use for eSchool?
It is the same.
Okay, that's a question. I know you're going to have that report in a minute, but what is that based on? Is that JavaScript, or is that what language? Because you were talking about changing hardware possibly to Chromebooks. I just want to make sure that whatever we integrate is compatible across both platforms.
Yeah, Canvas is all open source, so it's,
oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty flexible.
Oh, that's awesome, actually. And another thing, too, I'm a big open source person, and I know there's an education consortium with a lot of open source curriculum. And since we're going in that direction, when we think about developing new curriculum or adopting new curriculum, that we really take a hard look in those areas, because free is a really good price. So, oh, and one other thing, that you said the iPads at O'Connor are ready to be replaced.
The minis.
I have the iPad mini, and I have the original one, and I can still do everything. You know, I know Apple's update cycle every year, but everything still seems fully functional. And that my iPad mini's got to be at least 3 or 4 years older than what's at O'Connor. So,
President Gregoire, one of the other reasons for this is AZ Merit at this point in time can only be utilized on a full-sized iPad. So as we look at replacement across our campuses, specifically at O'Connor, they've been hindered by that initial layout of minis, which we felt very strongly about, and the teachers there did too.
okay.
That's one of the other reasons.
Okay, and the last question is the keyboard. You know, I assume if you want these to be fully functional, kids are going to have to write their essays and whatever on them, and typing it with your thumb is not a very effective or efficient way of doing that. Do we have capacity with keyboards for our kids so they can?
We absolutely do. We, in fact, for AZ Merit, students have to have keyboards for the AZ Merit test. So we've been purchasing and providing keyboards for the campuses, and they've been purchasing those as well.
Okay. Again, it's enough. My daughter had a language arts class, and writing all these essays on her iPad, she'd be going bonkers, and that's why I thought, you know, I'm a big Apple guy, but Chromebooks might be a more intelligent answer because of the keyboard. So, anyway, okay, thank you so much. Any other questions?
You gave me one question. Yes. Actually, Jim, when you do give us whatever update, we were talking about the cost. Can you also let us know how much of that E-rate covers? Because we were talking about the Wi-Fi. Doesn't E-rate cover some of that cost for us? So if you can give us that E-rate reimbursement, so that we, you know, because we can see the big picture, because it may be a big price tag, but if E-rate's covering a big chunk of it, that makes a major difference.
Let's move on. Thank you.
President Gregoire, members of the board, Dr. Weitenheimer, our second report this evening showcases our online program. Christy Hirschberg, our Manager of Instructional Technology and Innovative Programs, and I will provide an overview of this vibrant and growing program for DVUSD students.
Good evening, President Gregoire, members of the board, and Dr. Weitenheimer. This is my third year with Deer Valley and the online program. Our agenda for today covers high-level program objectives and a program overview. Our 2015-2016 enrollment data, where else Deer Valley students take online classes, a few new updates for 2016-2017, and our proposal to change the name of our program and identified program challenges. The key objective of our online program is to provide quality, flexible learning options for students. In addition to our established online high school program, our program problem solves in innovative ways to provide learning opportunities for many students in scenarios that require out-of-the-box thinking. Our new learning management system is state-of-the-art and provides a teaching and learning platform for all teachers and students. Having a learning management system is an essential support for our tech-rich efforts. We have been providing iPad, Canvas, accessible content to our teachers to increase efficiency and enhance the quality of learning. As a program, we continually improve our courses and ensure our teachers are doing everything they need to engage students. Our department goal this year is around creating an online teacher handbook to provide a foundation for a unified practice. Ultimately, we work hard to ensure there is ample communication and processes in place between our program and the campuses to ensure students are set up for success and on track for graduation.
Deer Valley has provided online learning options for 10 years now. The program has grown from just a few online learners to the robust program we have today. Adopting Canvas in 2015 was a big step for Deer Valley, as we are now part of the best and most innovative learning management system worldwide. The folks at Canvas, also known as Instructure, provide excellent support, and the product is updated every 3 weeks, so we are always on the cutting edge. We have 24/7 phone and live chat support for all teachers and students. Love the Canvas apps that are now available. Our program has also provided unique solutions to staffing needs across the district, including teacher vacancies and accelerated students on our K-8 campuses. Our program services students who are working ahead, catching up, traveling for sports, working full-time, and homebound, just to name a few examples. Our Deer Valley online teachers are highly qualified in their subject area and are exceptional at providing a quality online learning environment. This program continues to expand and improve.
We need to recognize Mary Beth Highland, our Manager of Research and Data Analysis, for her efforts. She compiled the data and created charts you'll see in this presentation. Also, a big thank you to Vicki Boone, our IS&T Software Systems Analyst, who, on top of her normal responsibilities, has become our Canvas expert with integration into existing district systems. We are proud to say that we have developed a process for capturing, manipulating, and analyzing our data to make sure it is useful to all of our stakeholders. Now that we have baseline data from our first year using Canvas, we can provide an annual program update at the end of each school year. Ultimately, it will be impressive to see year-over-year data down the road. If you look at the slide there, as you can see, in 2015-2016 school year, just under 3,000 course grades were earned by just over 1,500 students. It is interesting to note that greater than 55% of our students take 2 or more courses throughout the year. 22 full-time online students completed 132 semester courses, and 70 students receiving special education services completed 112 semester courses. Now let's take a look at some data aligned to course outcomes and demographics. This chart shows, on the left, summer, in the middle, fall, and spring to the right, pass-fail data for last school year. The majority of our online students complete their classes successfully. The green area represents passing enrollment, and the red represents course failures. Please note that you will see this represented in both count and percentage. As you can tell, the largest number of course enrollments can be seen in the summer term. The next chart shows the grade distribution for last summer, fall, and spring. The dark green portion, which is the largest on all terms, represents an earned A. Light green represents a B, light blue is a C, orange is a D, and red represents an F. As you can see, the majority of courses earn our students either an A or a B. You will in this next slide here, you will notice this chart represents the types of courses our students are enrolling in. Summer is represented by the yellow bar, the fall term is represented by the green, and the spring term by the purple bar. The percentage of course of enrollment is shown across the bottom axis. This chart shows that the largest course enrollments occur in social studies, math, and language arts. It is notable that health and PE are most popular in the summer. This next chart shows the percentage of students we receive from each high school during each term. As you can see, Boulder Creek High School has the greatest number of students participating in online classes. Some of our high schools offer robust face-to-face summer programs, which may be the reason their online enrollment declines during the summer. This next chart shows the majority of course enrollments are by seniors, as can be seen by the yellow sections. The summer 2015 session represents incoming freshmen through seniors for the following 15-16 school year. It is important to note that our online program helps Deer Valley students graduate. 927 seniors earned 1,781 course grades. 60% of course grades earned in the 15-16 school year were earned by seniors. This is my favorite chart. It's just an interesting trend. So this chart, you will see the breakdown of course type represented by colored bars. Credit recovery is in blue at the bottom. Honors is in orange. Gray represents a regular credit earning course. The blue line with dots shows the percentage of male enrollments in each term, while the pink dots represents the same data for females just above. In Deer Valley, the proportion of gender distribution is relatively equal, yet the majority of our course enrollments are by females. Additionally, this chart allows me the opportunity to debunk a common myth that our Deer Valley online learning program is primarily utilized for credit recovery. As you can see, credit recovery is actually the least of our course enrollments across the school year.
In the interest of transparency, we have had questions about where else students obtain credits outside the district and want to provide you information as such. Deer Valley Academy is a face-to-face evening program that was started in partnership with Deer Valley many years ago. Arizona Online Instruction, or AOI schools outside of Deer Valley Unified School District, can be utilized to earn credits for graduation. Some common online program options are Blueprint and Primavera. Blueprint is an open enroll anytime through the school year program, but has little teacher engagement. Primavera provides shorter sessions enrolling students every 2 weeks. We have a commitment to what our DVUSD diploma represents, and protecting the integrity of that diploma is dependent upon the level of excellence in our own online program, as well as providing for the needs that arise and the choice many of our students and parents now require for education and course credit attainment. What makes Deer Valley's online program the preferred program is that we provide a high level of teacher-to-student engagement and parent communication in every course. In addition, Deer Valley online courses are aligned completely with Deer Valley curriculum and assessments. Our courses are audited and follow a revision timeline where they are audited, refined, and improved on based upon content standards, technology, and best practices for online learning. Students who take an AOI course not pre-approved by a DVUSD counselor will have those credits accepted as elective credit only unless a test out is taken and passed successfully for core content credit. The test out score, not the AOI class score, is the grade recorded for the core class on the DVUSD transcript. More information about AOI course credit can be found in our academic planning guide for high school.
Okay, so new for 2016-17. This year, our teachers, counselors, and others are able to access a dashboard for the first time to identify and monitor students who are in jeopardy of not completing their online class and not earning credit. The Dropout Detective tool enables us that we can immediately identify student needs in need of intervention and more targeted support. One of the greatest concerns teachers express in both online and brick and mortar classes is decreasing the likelihood of plagiarism in writing and presentation assignments. We have Turnitin in our brick and mortar classrooms, and now we are able to integrate this tool into our learning management platform for all teachers across the district who use Canvas for student assignment and assessment submissions.
The online learning program utilizes 4 accounts to fund the program. Our M&O account helps fund the online teacher pay. A tuition account is used to collect payment and fund the online clerk position and support materials and resources. The tuition account is funded mainly through the summer program. IS&T and CIA provide funds for software and course building and professional development. The average daily membership we receive for students in our online program is approximately $144,000. These funds go into the general M&O fund for DVUSD. You can see the revenue generated last year and the expenditures for staff, software, and other items. If we didn't have our DVUSD online program, we would lose this ADM.
When we look at some of the challenges in an online program, navigating special education services in the online environment requires multiple communication points with parents, teachers from both online and brick and mortar campuses, and student support services. Similar to brick and mortar campuses, we have hard to fill positions in Spanish and in math. We continue to have requests for additional courses for our AP, dual enrollment, and middle school courses, as well as the ongoing refinement of existing courses. For state reporting and auditing, our accurate portrayal of student online attendance continues to be a challenge, as students and parents are responsible for entering required weekly hours online for each course, and sadly, many often forget to do it. So, a booming program has many celebrations, which we've shared in this presentation. Our goal in presenting our challenges is to seek organizational support so we can become the online program others benchmark against in our state. Our program lacks administrative infrastructure, which greatly handicaps our potential for growth of the program and courses and grade levels. We are committed to quality and innovation, and the Deer Valley Online program is poised to move the next level in online learning. Other infrastructure challenges include not having an eSchool counselor for our full-time online students, not having an online instructional designer with a master's in educational technology to work closely with our 200 courses and online teachers, nor do we have a dedicated IT specialist for our Canvas learning management system, which is accessed by teachers and students across all 38 schools. These are the positions being added in our surrounding districts to support their growing online programs. I've spent 2 years now with the Arizona Educational Technology Consortium, which includes 15 districts across the state. Based on our conversations and comparisons of staff, Deer Valley has the smallest staff model for the size of our program. Many of these challenges can be overcome with a strong vision and administrative support for a growing online learning program. Okay, in summary, we propose changing our name to be more descriptive, branded to Deer Valley, and in line with other programs in our state. Our current name is eSchool, and we propose transitioning to the name Deer Valley Online Learning Program. Using the word school in our name is often misleading, as some may think there is a physical brick and mortar building with all the equitable services of other high schools in our district. Very few online programs in the state use the word school in their program name.
This proposed change in name will be an action item in the October 25th board meeting. We are excited about the possibilities with online learning for Deer Valley in the coming years. According to the World Future Society, virtual learning is one of the top 10 breakthroughs that will transform life around the world in the next 20 to 30 years. As you heard in the first report about our TechRich initiative, and now with our online learning program, education and learning, as it was just a few years ago, is now transformed in ways that are both exciting and challenging for school districts, teachers, and students. We are in a simply amazing era in education, and we intend to ensure that DVUSD is on the cutting edge of this educational breakthrough. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Questions, comments? Go ahead.
That was a lot to process. I wish I was a computer. Anyway, referring to Canvas, I know that I don't have to use it because my child is gone, but I do hear that it's great. However, some of perhaps the freshman parent of our high schools are looking for power schools, and their kids are coming home and go, it's on Canvas, or they're not going home saying it's on Canvas. So is there a way that we could maybe get a tutorial on the website or something, just to get that out to parents so they understand that it's a tool that's out there that can be utilized by one and all, maybe?
I like that idea.
And then when we use eSchools in an eSchool course taught in a classroom, even though there's not a teacher, are we calling that blended learning, or we have a fourth grader that's taking 8th grade math, or however that might work? How do we account for that?
Okay, so President Gregoire and Ms. Ordway, when we have full-time online students, that's our now called eSchool program, in our campuses we have some blended programs where there's a regular certified teacher who have borrowed our curriculum and they've modified it for blended. And then we also provide support for schools who can't staff positions in what we call e-staffing.
Sure.
And so then we would have a substitute in the room and an online teacher to support that. It was more popular last year and not as popular this year.
But I'm just asking, how do where do those numbers go? You know, how do I know how many were, where I can look for that to be happening?
Oh, just like how many schools are utilizing
blended
learning?
You don't need to tell me right now, but if we could get that in a Friday update just to see how different what the differences are in utilization of that maybe on the campus.
Sure thing.
And then you mentioned that those that are full-time eSchool students don't record their time. Got to be some way that we can put something in there before you get your weekly grade or however you do that, that ensures that we are being funded for that. Just a little FYI. I don't know how you do it, but you'll figure it out, right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Kim?
I think Ann started with the one thing that I wanted. Just kind of expanding on the numbers. I'd like to know how many students, because I know we looked at their not all credit recovery, but how many students are full-time e-students? How many students are, like in the case of my daughter, she just wanted out. So she did high school in 3 years. She went day and night. So how many of them are our regular students that are additionally using eSchools? How many of them are, so just kind of the statistics on what that looks like. eSchool exclusive, eSchool and student in the classroom, and do we have any students, homeschoolers, that are possibly utilizing our program from home? I mean, is that something that we even have? And I don't know. So if we can just kind of get those, kind of an expansion on what Ms. Ordway was requesting. Thank you.
Did you have a question?
On the infrastructure requests, will we be seeing those dollars associated to those employees? Jim, will that be part of the budget discussion, or Mr. Miglerino? Sorry.
President Gregoire, Ms. O'Brien, we do have a line item in the budget to support the online program, and so the additional staffing would be a request that would be considered to increase that amount if it was to be considered for a future year.
Okay.
Could you repeat what you just said? It's not going to be considered for how long, or is that on this budget? I just didn't hear what you said.
My comment was that we have a line item within our budget in the goal book for the online program, and if we were to expand with the additional positions that you saw in the presentation, it would be a request to increase that cost in our budget in a future year. The budget is set for this year, so maybe I didn't understand the question correctly.
You did understand the question. I guess I wanted to make sure that if this was a consideration for the next year, we were not considering increasing it for this year. It would be for a future budget year that this request is being considered potentially.
That is my understanding as well.
Okay. And then can we go to the data overview page that, I think it's the one that tells us we have 2,994 students, or if you can just tell me in the bottom corner, there's a graph, and I just want to make sure that I understand the graph correctly, that the student count, 670 students are taking one course. Okay, thank you.
Actually, I have a couple questions. When you drew your comparison to classroom A through F, and just for context sake, I would like to see our standard in-class, in high school comparison. In other words, are we getting much less failures in our regular brick and mortar classes than what's on here? Because if there's a significant difference, you know, we may want to consider moving forward here. Also, Jim, can you explain the ADM we get if we had a full-time online student? How's that different from our regular ADM?
President Gregoire, so currently a log is required for the number of minutes that an online student would be participating within a course, and as part of that, they still have the same full-time equivalency for their 4 courses to be counted as a full-time student. So in order for an online student to qualify, they'll have a minute requirement, similar to a minute requirement we have for all high school students, but it's a log as opposed to the schedule that we keep on the calendar. Full-time students are funded at 100%, but part-time online students are funded at a fraction of that.
Based on the log, or?
Based on, the same 4-period requirement to qualify for a full-time high school student.
Okay. Just again, we have curriculum through 7 through 12, and I think, at least in my eyes, I would like to see us compete in this area, especially since we got charter and private schools and a lot of homeschoolers. It would behoove us to create a K-12 curriculum, whether if we have kids that have to leave because of illness for a month or something, they can still keep up online, or whether the mom pulls the kid out of school because of social issues, but they may bring them back in a couple of years. If they're still doing our curriculum, they can come back and still not miss a beat, or at least be on the same page as the rest of the kids. So to me, there's a lot of benefits to our kids, and even those that we put on suspension, long-term suspension, they can still keep up and not lose that time. So because it's really all about the kids staying up and learning and graduating. So I would like us, I like the name change. I like a more dynamic name change because, again, we're competing against those Primaveras and the others, and I think we put out a better product with our model. The way you explained our model seems to be much better. And when that comes into fruition, we can talk about maybe, there are going to be increased costs, but as you pointed out on one of the pages, we're bringing in more revenue, at least through our own students. But I mean, if we went through a different model with ADM, I think it could almost support those extra costs. So, and that's something we'd want to talk about too, is what kind of projections do we need? How many kids do we need to make a break even if we added this many more staff, so on. Again, it's basically a new business model, and it's a lot of work. And I would love to see this happen, but it still needs a lot of research to make sure it's going to go off right, because there's still a lot of questions. And this is 21st century, and kids are on the go, parents are on the go, they want something, and we're an A-rated district. I think we can really market this and market this well compared to these upstart charter and private schools. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents. And thank you for presenting that, by the way. This was my request to bring it forward. So, and it's going to be kind of, as long as I'm here, it's going to be my request to keep pushing this. So,
thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, thank you. And I lost my agenda. Here it is. Okay. Old business. Oh, yep, you're right. Jim, sorry.
I'll pledge to be brief. President Gregoire, members of the board, Dr. Weitenheimer, we have our standard reports to share with you this evening, starting with the enrollment report. We've been tracking this year, seem to be stabilized at about 0.6% reduction, just about 217 students. Just a note, this is our September 29th report, so through the 36th day, I believe, of school. This is the report that we will be using for the demographic study. We try and use the report as close to the October 1st date, which is a reporting date for some federal information about students. So just to be consistent from year to year. And I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding the enrollment report.
Any questions? Ms. Fisher.
Actually, I just have one quick request with enrollment. One of the big things that came up at Live with Dr. V is our exploding classrooms, and I'd like to request that we actually have a study session that goes a little deeper into enrollment, what formula we're using for staffing based on this enrollment, and so it's just a request for a future discussion for us all.
Yep. Okay, next report.
Moving forward to our district financials for the month of September, we have some good news to share in that the projected carry forward for the month of September 2016, just over $400,000. To put that in perspective, year over year, last year, September of 2015, we were just over $151,000. That's the good news. We're up considerably also month over month. We were just over $240,000 a month ago. The main contributor to the increase that you're seeing here, or that I'm reporting about a $200,000, not quite a $200,000 increase month over month, is the longevity payment. We'll touch on that during a future item on the agenda later this evening.
Okay. So you're saying part of that 291 for certified staff includes longevity?
President Gregoire, yes, it includes a portion of longevity payment that was not realized, as well as some of the contingency that has not been. We increased the contingency staffing for this year to 12 FTE, and we have not deployed those because, again, of the declining student enrollment.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Seeing none? Thank you. Now we can move on to old business. Mr. Bear.
Thank you, Mr. Gregoire, President Gregoire. I move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation to approve the school facilities board fiscal year 2017 capital plan.
So moved.
Second. Okay, discussion. Mr.
Yes,
Bear.
I have some questions. Mr. Miglerino. You know how much I love the school facilities board, correct? So, this report, what exactly does this say?
President Gregoire, Mr. Bear, I think I share the same sentiments that you do, at least they're closely aligned. This report indicates that we do not qualify for any new school capacity to be increased, any new schools to be built, funded from the School Facilities Board out through the year 2026.
And probably for the next 100 years, I'm guessing.
Probably for the foreseeable future thereafter.
Yeah. And just for the record, what's the last year that we got any money from the School Facilities Board for anything?
Oh, I'm getting a little help here. Maybe 6 years, 2006.
6?
It's been a considerable amount of time. I think there were some building renewal funds that were provided probably 6 or 7 years ago, but they were not fully funding the building renewal funding or building renewal funds.
So the last time we got money to build a school would have been?
The last School Facilities Board funded school would have been, I think, West Wing.
West Wing. So
in
that
2000 and 2005.
2005?
Correct.
Wow. So that's like, wow, 11 years. And they haven't had a budget ever since, have they?
Their budget has been...
Other than to pay for these people to sit around and twiddle their thumbs.
Yeah, their budget has been significantly reduced, hence the reason they haven't provided the funding.
And how much time did you have to spend putting this report together?
President Gregoire, Mr. Bear, I didn't actually log my time, but it probably took about a half hour to 45 minutes to complete the report.
Do you have to have any help with this, or?
I know I completed the report by myself.
Had a lot of zeros in all.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Can we bill them for this? I mean, you know, this is the height of stupidity here. This is how the government and the governor of Arizona can even justify paying these people a budget is absolutely astounding. I guess, to borrow a quote from Ronald Reagan, if you do not believe in eternal life, just take a look at this government agency right here. Okay. Talk about a waste of taxpayers' money. That being said,
Get off the fence, Mr. Bear.
tell us how you really feel.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Miglerino. You know how I'm allowed to beat these people up.
Okay, let's call for the vote and end this now. We wasted too much time. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So you have to bill them for our time too because of your
You
rant.
You got to ask all opposed.
All opposed?
Nay.
4 to 1, wow. Okay, let's go on to consent agenda.
Oh, that was so much fun. Okay, the consent agenda. Mr. President, I would move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation to approve the consent agenda items 8A through 8G.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, as 5-0. Action items 9A, approve human resource changes.
Okay. Mr. President, I move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation to approve the human resources changes.
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against?
Abstain.
Abstain, 4-0. Congratulations, Heather Mock. So I'm out of order there, but
Is our
already
new
hugged her. I
food
already hugged her
service
yesterday.
this year? Is our gal from food service this year?
okay. Item 9B, approve the annual financial report for fiscal year 15-16.
All right. Mr. President, I move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation to approve the annual financial report for year 2015-16.
Second.
Mr. Jim.
President Gregoire, members of the board, Dr. Weitenheimer, as you noted, President Gregoire, just wanted to acknowledge this is the, I believe, the final report that we can thank Mr. Dale Splitberger after 33 and a half years of working in our district as our Director of Finance. So he did pass the torch on to Ms. Heather Mock, so I also express my gratitude for her efforts in working on this, and congratulate her on becoming our new Director of Finance for the district with the action from the board. Just some AFR highlights that I have to share. Our total expenses for this year, fiscal year 16, decreased a little bit because the majority of the difference really happened to be that we were building Sonoran Foothills in fiscal year 15, and had some of the final expenses from that construction, and we are including all expenditures in the numbers that you see here, from $323 million in 15 to down to $290. In 2016. Our overall M&O spending was up due to a slight increase in students. Remember, we get funded on, or we used to get funded on prior year students, so we had a bump in students going back to the 2013-14 year, which is what provided, or excuse me, the 2014-15 year, which provided the increase in the 15-16 budget. Our projected carry forward was $8 million, and we actually worked it out to be about $7.8 million. So down slightly, about $1.1 million is what is going to be actually realized. I'm sorry, in the goal book we have $1.3 million. What we're going to actually realize is about $1.1 million when you factor out the Proposition 123. Remember, the state provided the fiscal year 16 Prop 123 payment at the end of June, which was the end of our fiscal year. So those monies got rolled over, and they'll be spent in the 16-17 year. Just a footnote there that we will likely have several budget adjustments due to the ADM being adjusted at the State Department through the AZ EDS program now. And so we have a slight increase in ADM to look forward to. We also have the district additional assistance, which is the state imposed reduction that will be recalculated, and unfortunately that will cause a greater reduction to our budget. So we'll have some give and take, and hopefully by the end of the day we'll see a positive number there, a slightly positive number, and we will bring that back to the board when we have all the final numbers from the Department of Education. Instructional support went up. Instructional support function 2200 decreased due to a shift on the Move On When Reading program code. A big increase in the general administration function 2300, not because we really made any significant changes in terms of staffing. The USFR changed and required all retiree insurance to be coded to that function. Since it is a USFR change, all districts are required to follow suit, so we should see that from a comparative standpoint won't be as different. Only those districts that don't have retiree insurance coverage won't be affected by that change. And then finally, go ahead.
Well, how many? Is it common for everyone to do that, or just?
President Gregoire, there are several districts in the state that don't and never did offer retiree coverage to their staff members, and those are conscious decisions that individual local boards made.
And I know it just distorts the dollars in the classroom formula when you do that. That's
and that's correct, and that is the final bullet on the highlights. There is that our instructional dollars did decrease slightly. As a result of that, we previously would have coded all of those retiree insurance costs to their original function. So if they were a teacher and were receiving retiree benefits, we would have continued to code that as an instructional expense. But that is not the way that we are required to do that, starting with last fiscal year now. So here's the breakdown of expenditures. And I won't go through this line by line in the interest of time. I did want to point out we have made a concerted effort to work on our pupil transportation expenses. We were able to reduce those expenses that were directly attributed to transportation by almost 8%, 7.8%, reducing it from over $10 million to just over $9.2 million, comparing year over year, fiscal year 15 to fiscal year 16. So we continue to work on that. I don't want to dwell on that too much until we see the Auditor General report, which won't get published until the end of February, typically. Just kind of a breakdown. So I mentioned that instructional percentage did go down. So this is last year, so fiscal year 15, instructional percentage was 61%. And if we compare that with the current year, fiscal year 16, you can see rounded, it's at 59%. And pupil transportation, here you saw was 6% of our budget. Now it's been reduced down to 5% of our budget. The forms, the state required forms were in the board packet, have a great deal more information than what I've shared this evening, but it really is a synopsis of what we, how we spent our money last year. This report is required to be approved by the board each October 15th and then published by November 15th. It now gets published on the ADE website. Once all of our comparable districts have theirs published, then we do some analysis and provide that information as well. And we'd be happy to do that in a future setting. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about the AFR.
Questions, comments?
I just have one.
Ms. Fisher.
Is this the first year where, with the new coding, that we're going to be able to see the difference in the administration, where we started to have to code executives? Are we going to see that in the Auditor General that comes out in February? Do we know yet?
President Gregoire, Ms. Fisher, are you talking about head of components is also another requirement from the USFR?
Is that going to show in this year's report, or the ones
that is
get in
that is a
February?
requirement for last year, so it should show in everybody's reporting for fiscal year 16.
Okay.
Okay. Call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against?
Aye.
5-0. Okay, 9C, approve revision to the fiscal year salary recommendation. Mr. Bear.
Thank you, President Gregoire. I move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation to approve revision number 2 to the fiscal year 2016-17 salary recommendation.
Second.
Second. Jim, you want to explain what that is?
President Gregoire, it would be my pleasure to share this with you and the rest of the board members. As we have noted in previous settings, we have a list of NST considerations that we would like to have considered as a result of the salary increases that were issued for this year. Those decisions were made last year. And I'm happy to report that the negotiation solution team met just before this meeting and did unanimously approve the correction that we're asking the board to approve this evening. This correction, sometimes referred to as the master's credit salary calculator error, is to be able to quantify and reward our teachers for their professional growth credit for those that were hired previously on our step and column salary hiring schedule, as well in the same fashion as all other employees. We had some challenges with data that we did not have stored in our software system to be able to properly account for that in the salary calculator. We have since rectified that. Human Resources went through all of those individual employee records to recapture that information. And this will affect 84 employees. 79 employees will actually get an increase in their total compensation. And this will allow us to be able to do what was the intention of the Prop 123 monies from the start, is to be able to make sure that we more closely align those dots on the infamous scatter plot for those people that are normed in the same fashion. So this is the second revision to the salary recommendation, and the intention is to use the savings from the longevity payment. We had more individuals than we projected that didn't return to work this school year. and that was a provision in the longevity payment. So we had a tiered schedule in terms of the payment amount, but you had to work last year as well as, for those people that worked last year, they had to continue past August 12th. And we had more people that didn't continue, and so therefore did not have their longevity payment made to them. We propose to use the longevity payment to fund, at least for the first year, this increase, which will cost about $140,000 in both salary and benefits. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Now, does this catch everyone? We're not missing any counselors with the masters or speech therapists with the masters or?
President Gregoire, Ms. Fisher, this is only affecting certified teachers. So only those people that we actually put through the salary calculator.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those against?
Abstain.
4-0-1. Okay, item 9D. Mr. Bear, do you have it?
Wait, 9D?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
It changed.
All right. Mr. President, I move that the governing board approve the slated November 8th, 2016 regular governing board meeting to be rescheduled for November 15th, 2016.
Have a second?
Second.
Second. I'll briefly discuss. This is my recommendation to bring it forward. It's election day. There are candidates, there are governing board candidates, and I just think it's appropriate that we move it off election day. So, any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those against?
I think I'll just abstain.
Abstain. 4-0. Okay. No public comment. Future meetings are posted. Can I have a motion? Oh.
The future meeting that's posted now is not the 8th, it's the 15th, so just as a reminder.
Okay. Motion to adjourn, anyone?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 5-0.